Hey everyone, it's Kai from Cool Collectibles back again for another review. This time it's the Transformers Masterpiece MP-44S Optimus Prime, which is intended to be the toy homage either to the MP-10 or to the original G1 toy. I'm not quite sure which, and I think that's part of the problem with this figure. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I'll just quickly go through what you get out of the box. So the box itself is the typical Masterpiece style. You will notice that the 44S here is quite a lot smaller than the original MP44 release without the trailer. So the box is surprisingly small, and it also comes packaged in the truck mode, which helps with reducing the size. And as I was saying before, the toy homage, you see the MP36 Plus here. And I think that is part of the problem, where I think they put a lot more effort into MP36 Plus than they have into this particular release. The box also comes with the standard instruction manual. It's a little bit disappointing. I can't remember what the MP44 original had, because I think the original MP36 Plus had a booklet, whereas this is just the fold-up sheet. So again, a bit of a backward step there. The collector card probably isn't as exciting as some of the newer ones, but I guess it's just a collector card. Then we have this sticker sheet, which I think is probably the biggest problem with the toy homage aspects of this particular figure. So I think if I just put the figure out here, you get these stickers, which are meant to go on the forearms here. So you'll see that the original figure had these bits that are protruding. And now when you put these stickers, this silver part at the bottom needs to overlay that, so it's not actually flush on the surface of the forearm, which might cause some adhesion issues later on. These are the knee stickers that go on the knee pads there. These are on the feet, or on the toes at the bottom there. Then I think you can put the stickers on either side, and for that full toy accurate look with all the chroming and so on, you can put these silver pieces over the top of the yellow pieces there. This red piece, I'm not actually sure where that's meant to go. There's only one, so I'm not quite sure where that's meant to go. If it's meant to, I can't find a spot on the figure that immediately looks like it should stick to, so I might have to check the instruction manual there. But either way, I'm not going to use these stickers. It looks like Takara hedged their bets with this particular release, where it's sort of a mix between people wanting a cheaper MP44 that isn't exactly the cartoon accurate paint application, and a mix of that or a G1 toy or an MP10 homage, where you do get some of the more paint accurate details to the darker toy version, with the dark blue there and so on, as opposed to the lighter colors on the original figure. Whereas the MP36 Plus was a pure flat out toy homage that went to town with different head sculpts and so on, decals as opposed to stickers. There were no stickers on that original release for MP36 Plus, so they put in all the effort to decal it. So if Takara was to decal the knees here, the toes, the forearms, they could have done all of that just like they did on MP36 Plus, but they went cheap and put stickers, which leaves a bad taste in my mouth, similar to the way Lego Star Wars UCS sets still have stickers, which at this sort of price point I think is unacceptable. With the head sculpts, I was talking about alternate head sculpts. It does come with the sort of season 1 style head sculpt with strangely blue eyes. I guess with the yellow eyes there, it would have been nicer if it was a richer yellow to match the yellow on the crotch there. But what they're missing is a true toy style head sculpt like they did with Megatron. The fact that they gave that with the MP36 Plus figure, it was such a nice way to pay respect to the original G1 toy, and they just didn't do it with this release. You also get the blaster, which is the same as the MP-44 release, I believe. Comes with the battle axe and the blast effects there, which again, from memory, look pretty much identical to the MP-44. And then the matrix of leadership here, which is pretty nicely done. But that's pretty much it in terms of the accessories and what comes out of the box. I think the figure overall, I'll start doing a comparison with the original MP-44 in a second, but there are a number of differences that do make the figure itself quite a bit better than the original release, transformation wise, tolerance wise and so on. There is a particular issue with mine regarding stress marks in truck mode, so I'll show you guys that when I get it back into that mode. But apart from that, that's pretty much it for everything you get out of the box. So I'll switch over and give you guys a closer look in comparison against MP-44. Alright, so I figured I might as well start with a side-by-side comparison with the original MP-44 release. And I have to say, some of the differences are actually quite surprising. Because if you don't have this and you didn't want this because of the high cost, because of the trailer and all the other accessories, getting this one as a pure figure to go with all of the other cartoon accurate figures in the series of late, it's still a pretty good representation. So it's not just a pure toy homage that doesn't sort of fit in with the aesthetic. I would say some of the paint application itself I actually prefer. So if you notice that the red surprisingly is a lot brighter on the 44S than it is on the MP-44. I was actually expecting it to be a darker color, but I'll grab the MP-10 out a bit later as well to do a comparison. But I was expecting the red on the original to be more brighter. Now I can't sort of remember if it's which one is more cartoon accurate, but that part did surprise me. Now the silver here is actually really nicely done. It's I guess a little bit disappointing in that it's not chrome, but I can sort of understand why. I mean, with the chrome torso piece here and the stacks at the side here, you know, you still have the chrome sort of fuel tanks on the side here. But I think that this area here would have looked a little bit weird with all chrome. Yes, the original toy had chrome there, but I think with this sort of shiny grey finish, I think it actually looks quite nice. Yes, the white here is very cartoon accurate, and thankfully it's not just white plastic, but a very nice sort of shiny white paint. But I do think that looks quite nice. And then the only part that I prefer on the original is the blue, the shade of blue. This is a much darker, more toy accurate shade of blue, pretty much identical to the MP-10 blue as well. But I do think the blue here in sort of alignment with the cartoon, I do prefer that. But those were the biggest differences. In terms of the figure itself, the tolerances in the transformation are definitely different. If I just show you now, if I just pick this up, there's no floppiness to the figure at all. So the joints are much tighter, which has its pros and cons, to be honest. Then if I pick up the original, now I haven't even played around with this too much at all, but even from day one, you'll see that the legs sort of flop around quite a little bit around the torso, mainly because of the differences and the tolerances in the what do they call them, the ratchet joints. So you'll see that, you know, when I pick it up, the legs sort of come together, and then when I put it down, the legs start to splay a little bit. But with this figure, everything is very solid. Now I did say that there are pros and cons with that. The cons are during the transformation, you do need to be a little bit more careful in how some of the panels fold and pack away. It literally took me about an hour to transform, and I'm usually pretty shit with the transformation anyway. But last night, transforming this from its original truck mode into the bot was a little bit painful. The legs were quite difficult, getting everything packed away, just because of how tight everything felt. But the upper part was pretty good, and I didn't have any issues with paint rub or anything on the silver parts here. So just be careful with the tightness of all the joints. And regarding the joints, my one major negative of the figure is something that I'll show you guys when I get it back into the truck mode. And is the only thing that I might go back to the retailer route to see if they can do anything about. But I'll go through that when I get it back into car mode. I'll just switch these guys around for another check at the back here. You'll notice that the big backpack is still there. I mean, the size never really bothered me, to be honest. So I don't have any real issues there, despite not having the electronics. So you'll see that there's no holes or anything like that for the speaker. It just covers it all up, but the backpack transformation is identical. And you'll see the back of the legs there is pretty much the same. So these panels here that close over the wheels were painful to get back into place, to clip into place properly, because of just how tight everything seems to fit in there. But other than that, I think the figure turned out pretty nicely in terms of the paint application and so on. So I'll get the original out the way and just give you guys an even closer look. Hold on. Right, the biggest debate with the figure when we saw all of the promotional photos was whether or not this was going to have a paint application or not. Part of that, I think, was due to MP-49 Nemesis Prime, the black repaint being pretty much unpainted. Most of the upper half was unpainted, but I am glad to say that this is not the case for MP-44S. From what I can see, most of the panels are painted. So you'll see that the forearm pieces here are painted, even these pieces here. So you'll probably notice it more in the truck mode, but all of these pieces here I believe are painted. And I know it's painted because there is one panel where the paint actually scratched off and I could see the bare red plastic underneath. So you can see parts where it's not painted, so you'll notice that these joints here are not painted. It has a different sheen to it, but all of these panels here would appear to be painted to my eyes. Of course, the silver is all painted there. The legs, even the blue here, I believe, is painted as well, I think, based on what I can see. So all of that, I think, is actually very nicely done. The silver along here, that silver notch at the back there is painted. So overall, I think they've done a pretty awesome job with the paint application. And based on those tolerances as well, I didn't have any issues with the crotch scratching or the torso pieces here scratching, so no major issues there. So in terms of how he transforms, paint chipping, overall paint application, I think they've definitely improved that over the original. The original, everyone is, that I know anyway, is pretty much terrified about touching the damn thing to just in case all the paint sort of comes off. The only other point of interest, I think, is the back of the knees. That's as far as I can zoom in, but you'll notice, let me just bring out the original again. So on the original, you'll see that the back of the knees have this extra little notch here, which goes into a little piece in the side there. So that was a mechanism that they had to help with the articulation, I guess, to further extend it as you bend the knee. Now that did, because that confused a few people initially, it wasn't very well explained in the instructions or anything like that. There were some breakages in the knees. So in the MP-49 release, they changed the design. So you'll notice that little notch piece that would cause some of the breakages has been removed, but the ratchets work pretty well. So that mold change has gone into this MP-44S. so you won't have any concerns there on the knees breaking at all. Not that I had any issues with the original. I'm just very careful in how you articulate it, so that when you want to bend the knees further, that notch here does go into the, I guess, the groove that they designed for it. But that is probably the main mold difference. I can't sort of make out any other mold differences, to be honest, that I can immediately see that are obvious now anyway. So that's pretty much it on the figure. In bot mode, what I might do now is spend a bit of time getting it back into the truck mode, because I do prefer all of my repaints to be in their alt modes, and all of my sort of baseline figures in their bot modes on display. So I'll spend a bit of time getting him into the truck mode again, and give you guys a look at that. Hold on. Right, so here is the figure in truck mode, and getting it back into this mode pretty much reinforced every reason why I hate doing these transformations. Pretty much took me over an hour to get it back in, just in mostly trying to get all of the cab pegged in properly. There's still a bit of slight misalignment in the fuel tanks here, but that's pretty much the best that I can get it. I got it to a point where it actually rolls pretty well now, with clearance at the bottom, so that's good. But it did take a long time, and it is quite fiddly. It was giving me bad memories of all the issues with MP9 back in the day, trying to get everything aligned there. But overall, once it does clean up pretty nicely. And overall, as a G1 sort of homage to the original toy, it does look pretty fantastic in this truck mode. As you can see with the red, it's not all just unpainted plastic. It actually has a pretty nice red paint application, and as I was saying before, in bot mode, I actually do prefer this red to the original MP-44 and also to the original MP-10, which I'll just grab out now. Just hold on a second. So if I get the old MP-10 out, so you'll see the differences there, and you'll notice that the red in the original is just a shade darker, so this is actually more aligned with the original MP-44 that has a darker red. But you can see that the blue plastic at the back here is pretty well matched in terms of its dark color, so that's good. I'm glad that they didn't end up doing stickers for the silver lining here, so at least that's a paint application. But again, I can't remember if the toy had any, the G1 toy that is, had any original stickers that were clearly visible in truck mode. But at least here you don't have to really apply any stickers to make things stand out. Unless that red sticker I was talking about before is meant to be at the front there, I'm not quite sure. But while I'm on the front, I'll give you guys a look at the stress marks that I was talking about before. It sort of went away slightly, so it's improved a little bit when I got the heat gun out. But if you look on the corner of the headlight here where the pin goes up and down vertically, and the same spot on this side, you can see the two small stress marks. So at least they're not getting worse, but I might take a photo and send it to the retailer and see what they can do about that, in terms of any refund or compensation or anything like that. But I'll have to decide if I get it back into transformation through bot mode, if it gets any worse. I tried a heat gun, the hairdryer, and I tried the hot water as well. I pretty much dipped that whole front panel in hot water, pretty much boiling water, to see if it was going to help, and then I dried it all off with the hairdryer, and it didn't seem to. It improved a little bit, but not too much. So that's really the only major negative, apart from all the other things I mentioned on the actual set itself. But from the figure itself, I think that's pretty much the only negative that I have regarding at least my copy of the figure. But I might just grab the trailers as well to give you guys a look at the trailers. Hold on. So here he is with MP-44's trailer. Unfortunately, they didn't include a trailer that has the original blue striping on the G1 toy, like the MP10 had. I guess they were trying to cut the costs due to everyone's complaints about how expensive the MP-44 set was. So if you do have the MP-44 set in bot mode like I will, and then this set, you can pair the two and have it looking pretty good in the display. But I might get the old MP10 and give you guys a quick look at that as well. Hold on. Alright, so the adapter of course is different on the MP10, so it doesn't actually sit flush in the connection point there, so I've cheated and just have it sitting there, but you get the idea on what they could have done with the MP-44 trailer for a true, I guess, G1 toy homage. So again, if you've got this and you've got the old MP10, again this looks pretty good on display as well, so it's up to you as to how you might want to display it. I'm not sure how I'm going to display mine just yet with the two cabs, but I'll have to see what room I have in the display cabinet. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you like that look at the new MP-44S. I think if you're into this mold and didn't get the original, I think this is a pretty good option at a cheaper price. And even if you do, I think it is a good option to have two variants on display in the collection. But yeah, if you really do hate this particular mold and prefer the third-party ones, then I guess it's always great to have all of those options regardless. But as people know, I only collect the official series, so I'm pretty happy overall, but it is a bit of a love-hate, as I was saying before, regarding all the stickers and what they really could have done to really knock this out of the park. But that's pretty much all of my thoughts. Thanks again. Hopefully you can give the video a like and subscribe and stay tuned for upcoming videos. But until then, thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.